Ayman, thank you. Joining me now, Arash Aramesh, Middle East and Iran analyst at the National Security Network and the Century Foundation in Washington, D.C. Arash, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be with you, but I'm actually in Houston. I'm no longer with the NSN or the TCF.
Forgive us. We're juggling a lot of things. No, we must have gotten some bad Google information. So you're in Texas.
Just a national security foreign policy analyst, yeah.
And so you're familiar with the region, though, and you have long expertise there. So as you watch this unfold, and we're looking at video on the left side of the screen, what are your immediate thoughts about something of this magnitude happening on a Friday night?
It's the last Friday of the month of Ramadan. This is the holiest month in the Muslim calendar, where for 30 days Muslims fast, from sunrise to sunset. Earlier today, actually yesterday, in Lebanon, for instance, Hezbollah canceled the Quds Day parade. That's the parade that takes place on the last Friday of month of Ramadan, because they were worried about sort of Sunni ISIS retaliation or bombings there. I'm not sure if this is actually related to that, but what's sort of symbolic is that in the month of Ramadan, after Muslims break their fast, after the iftar, people go to cafes, people get together, people participate in festivities. And for ISIS to take hostages at a cafe and during the month of Ramadan, and also on the last Friday, is symbolic. It does definitely fit within these sort of the narrative of carrying out spectacular acts of terror to inspire more recruits, and also to say that they're still relevant, even though they've come under tremendous pressure and firepower in Iraq and Syria. They've lost Fallujah. They're under attack in Raqqa. But in general, Kate, there are three big sort of ISIS-related terror attacks. They're either attacks that are controlled, coordinated, and planned by ISIS Central. That's ISIS in Syria and Iraq, just like what you saw in Istanbul, Turkey, over the past couple of days. Then there's ISIS Regional. These are ISIS affiliates that may not be in direct contact at all times with ISIS Central, but they do carry out attacks in places such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, or parts of Northern Africa, for that matter. And then there is lone wolf or ISIS-inspired attacks. It is not clear whether this attack was ISIS Central, ISIS Regional, or a group of radicals in Bangladesh inspired by ISIS trying to carry out an attack. My guess is either ISIS Central or most likely ISIS Regional that has coordinated, planned, and carried out a pretty sophisticated terrorist attack and hostage-taking sort of operation in Bangladesh.
And to put it another way, why Bangladesh? Would it just be the opportunity is there? They've got some people interested, or do you think it could be strategic?
Couple of reasons. First and foremost, ISIS would like to say that they have a far reach, not only just in the Mideast, not only just in the Levant region or Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and parts of the Arab world, but also in the non-Arab, non-Middle Eastern parts of the sort of the Muslim map. Bangladesh is a few thousand miles away from ISIS capital of Raqqa, first of all. But then there's also the issue of opportunity. Bangladesh is a 90%, I believe, Muslim majority country, is a very conservative Muslim majority. It does not at all mean that the conservative Muslims are violent whatsoever at all. But in the past year or so, we have seen a rise in attacks against secular bloggers, LGBT activists, against other minority communities, Shiite Muslims, Ahmadi Muslims, and Hindus, for instance, who were hacked to death. So there has been a surge in radical attacks, radical Islamist attacks against various groups, whether they're seculars or they're Muslim professors, or they are free speech activists, or gay activists, or so on and so forth. So there's opportunity, and there's also trying to claim that their strategic depth has not decreased because of their battlefield losses in Iraq and Syria. And not to try to be the bad bear of sort of the bear of bad news, but this is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. These sorts of attacks, especially those that are just solely inspired by ISIS or other radical organizations, are going to be there. And we're going to do a better job in terms of intelligence gathering and law enforcement, and also cooperation with allies to A, crack down on their sources of funding. Some of our allies are sort of culprits of that, and B, making sure that the information is transmitted and transferred between our agencies and theirs, so we can actually cooperate on a much, much better foothold in the region.
Arash, thank you so much, Arash Aramesh, for being with us. Appreciate your time and your perspective.